in business, man, you have to have a good circle. Like I have guys I can fall on. I have guys that I can be vulnerable with. I have, anytime there's something, if I have to let somebody go, I still have relationships with people that I let go years ago that I know about their family, and we still keep in contact.
Yeah.
I think that that's good business, and that's a successful man to me. It's easy to do. I hate you, get the hell out of my office kind of thing, like that's easy to do.
Sure.
But I don't really want to live a life like that. And now with that being said, I also struggle with the nice guy syndrome, right? Where I want to please everybody and
hold on to things a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I have chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, another week with Lupe Valdviez. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Good, man. So Lupe runs one of the most successful bands here in New Orleans, Karma. And if you've ever seen Karma play, you know that they rock. It's a fantastic band, fantastic brand. And so really happy to have you here today to, just talk about, branding, talk about business, mindset and how you, sort of brought that whole brand together. So let's talk about that whole journey of bringing, of being a cover band musician, starting the band, how it, so just kind of give me that breakdown.
Yeah. Well, first, Armando, thank you and your team for having me. Thank you for reaching out to me, and I truly love that.
It's been months, man, trying to get you here, but
I know, and it's been a little like we set an appointment, then I had something come up. My son is, he's not newborn, but he's 3, and that is a big, beautiful chapter in my life. I love it, and everything about what I do today really makes me think about how it can be. Especially with business, this all ties into my business, how it can be a better example for the people around me.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you what, he's 3 and, we go through he's got these asthmatic issues that we're kind of back and forth in the ER. And, but through that process, it's like, I'm very aware of the choices that I'm making and the decisions that I have to make for my business and for my family. And so I'm very cautious of the words I'm using when I'm working with females versus male, performers. And my son is like, I'm learning a lot of stuff just from paying attention to him.
Yeah.
And it's all like just tying into my business. And I love where I am because I went through, both my wife and I have been divorced once before. And having a woman in my life today that not only supports what I do, but really in a sense, like she's not a musician. So she doesn't love me for my gifts. She just loves me for me. So I love that. Yeah. And it's great because like babe, I need your advice. What do you think about this? And she's like, no, not at all. Like this sounds horrible. Like baby, you're not listening. But the thing is, what's great about it is that she's not listening to it from a musician mind, right? It's the regular audience. So I love that, But back to what you were saying, starting this from the kind of the ground up, it was a struggle, most people don't know I don't have a college degree. I didn't even go to high school, dropped out at a very young age.
Really?
And it was the school of life. At 17 years old, moved out, and I started traveling at 19. And at 19 years old, I'd already been to, by the time I was 21, I'd been to 47 different states. And then started traveling to Canada, outside the U.S. And it's been powerful, man. It's been wonderful. But a lot of my disadvantage was I didn't have the education. Education in my family was not important. Grew up down in the swamp land, Cajun land. That's all my people down the bayou.
Right.
And if you say it, you can't say down the bayou. You have to say down the bayou.
Right.
And I love those people, man. I love all my family. The support, I got a lot of support from my family.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the way things are set up in that area, it's a small town, and the mindset is very, limited, restricted. They can only see right now, and they can't see past tomorrow. So let alone like making investments and things like that. What is that? Doesn't make any sense. So usually when kids are testing for like cat and leap tests, well, we're getting out of school to not take tests because that's the shrimp season. That's commercial fisherman time. So that's when you make your money for the year. Like some people bank on that for the year.
Wow.
And so it just was never important. And at that
How much
time,
are they making money? How much are they making on that?
Well, down there, it's different. So if you're making like anywhere from like 15,000 to 25,000, that's set up for some families for the year. I remember my dad. So my dad, my dad's always been a commercial fisherman and a musician. And my dad would run bands, and he always had different musicians coming in and out. And that's really where I picked up, because he would be practicing in the house. We lived in a trailer, and it's like we had gear all over the house, and there was no telling who was coming in, And but my dad lived. He made a living supporting 5 of us off of about $14,000 a year. That was it. There were times when my dad would steal to feed us. There were times when we shared, bath water. There were times when they wouldn't eat so we could eat. It was rough. It was tough. That's all he ever knew. That's all a lot of us growing up, that's all we knew. When you it's funny because like I hear people talk about this, when you don't know any different or any better, you don't know. And so like we're outside playing in the woods and we're having a good time.
Having a good time.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I started to travel. It wasn't until I started to like meet other people and then go to houses that were like felt like mansions. And I was like, what is this? I like this. This is nice, Yeah. And so I remember like when I started doing that, I was able to buy my mom a car at 17, 18 years old, her own car.
That's amazing.
And then I had a car given to me. It didn't work, but I fixed it. My dad helped me with the carburetor and, changed some spark plugs, and then we got it running. Yeah. And then from there, like I started kind of to just build things from there. So I was always a side musician. But what was interesting about that was every band I was ever in, people would come talk to me as if I was the leader of the band. Huh. I would go to places, weddings and venues and corporate events and casinos, and they would come talk to me. Hey, man, so like we want to make sure that you're on the same page with this. And wait, what do you? I'm not that guy. Yeah, Thank you so much. That's the one you want to talk to,
Right.
But from that, and people would always say Dimples. They'd be like, oh, I remember you, Dimples. This is before I had the beard and everything. And so people would remember me from that. So once I kind of, in 2009, when I started Karma, November of 2009,
we won the Super Bowl, and you were like, I'm going to start a band.
That was it, man. Well, the hard thing about that for me was when I started it really started with a different vision and a different dream. I was used to traveling, and I was used to seeing musicians being treated a certain way. And I was like, you know what? I know my heart. I know where I am. So I can have this with family and friends that I love, that I know that are surround me all the time, and just start to build it. And my thing was, I'm not as savvy with the social media and all that stuff not so much then. So I'm like, I'm gonna just do what everybody would do. Get in the car, put a little suit on, and go shake hands. That's what I'm gonna do. And that's how I started building Karma.
Nice.
I would stay up late at night. Most people are like big on the 4 a.m., 5 a.m., get up in the morning, here's your routine, right? Dude, I get so much work done between 10 p.m. and about 3 a.m. I get my workouts in and everything.
Wow.
Like for real. I have no interruptions. I set up all my emails, all my stuff to send out in the morning as if I'm up at 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning.
That's great.
And it just automated things. Still. Oh yeah, still. Man. Like it made, so my wife was like, she was very concerned about my habits and my routines. Don't get me wrong, some of it does need to change, and I'm working on it, especially for family now. Yeah. But when our son was born, she was like, this is amazing.
Right.
Like this is like,
handle it.
I'm like, I'm up, babe. We're good.
That's great.
Yeah. So like really, so, and another thing about me too, that most people, some know and some don't know, is I'm really big into my belief in God. Like that's a big thing for me. In 2016, I was at a point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I was going through a divorce, and I'd lost not only that marriage, but two girls that were dear to me, that I looked at as my blood. They were my stepdaughters. And we had 3 dogs, and we had a lot of property. We had a lot of stuff together, and I lost everything. And at the end of it all, the only thing that really mattered to me was the relationship with those girls. And still to this day, I don't have a relationship with them. But God revealed to me over time that just like he's been working on me, he's been working on them, and he's been taking care of them, and he's been taking care of me. And man, it was a process of letting go, and a process of forgiving, and a process of just allowing, certain things to just take place and not rush and push. And I will say that, man, it helped me so much in business, because there were times when I was so diligent, I was so ready to make a deal happen. I was like, I'll knock on your door. I'm like, hey, I'm here. I got the contract. What do you need to see? I'll get it done. I'm the dude selling you the pen. Like, I can make it happen,
Right.
And then all of a sudden I found myself kind of taking a step back, where I was not getting as much calls or not booking as much gigs, because I was just so driven. I was so over the top with it. But it was some of the things that I was missing in my personal life. I was feeding into it in my business, trying to be so, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this, right? But it wasn't just me. I needed my team. I needed to fall on these people around me. And that's one thing I will say, like in business, man, you have to have a good circle. Like, I have guys I can fall on. I have guys that I can be vulnerable with. I have, anytime there's something, if I have to let somebody go, I still have relationships with people that I let go years ago that I know about their family, and we still keep in contact.
Yeah.
I think that that's good business, and that's a successful man to me. It's easy to do. I hate you, get the hell out of my office kind of thing, like that's easy to do.
Sure.
But I don't really want to live a life like that. And now, with that being said, I also struggle with the nice guy syndrome, right? Where I want to please everybody and
Hold on to things a little bit too long.
Yeah. And I remember I let a friend of mine go about 4 or 5 years ago, and I started doing, like anything I do, I got to do research first. Like, how do I do this? What's the proper way to do this? Because, if you think about it, what we do as, you sing, you've been in bands, you've run bands, you run businesses. So corporately is a little bit different than, let's just say, a band, right? So we don't have those guidelines. We don't have a policy, which is something I'm actually writing for my business.
Sure.
And I'm having everybody, hey, sign off on, this is what we agree on, right? This is the policy for the business.
Very important.
And so when I let this guy go, I went through, I was like, well, here's some steps. And the first one was, let's do a little bit of here's a write-up slip. You slipped up the first time, right? Here's the second time. Now we take a little step further. Well, by the time you get to the third step, you're out.
Right.
This dude had been like 30 or 40 steps. I was like, oh man, no wonder why I'm struggling with all this stuff. And my heart was in the right place. He's a good dude. I love him and his family.
Yeah.
But the things that were happening in the business that I needed from him, phenomenal musician.
Right.
But what I needed in the business was not happening.
Yeah. You weren't in alignment.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. One of my employees bounced. And it was good. You know what I mean? It was one of those moments where he realized what he wanted and didn't, and we also realized that I wanted things for him that no matter how much I wanted it for him, he didn't want it. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You know what I mean? And sometimes, maybe they feel indebted to you, so they stick around longer than they should because they feel a sense of like they owe you, So it can get really convoluted if that alignment isn't clear.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I'm learning as a leader. I have to have a better vision.
Yeah.
Because what happens is there's a lot of great musicians. There really are. And once again, I feel blessed to have the ones I have, and the ones that kind of continue to pour in and reach out like, hey, can I be a part of this? It's beautiful. But the more I'm focused and clear on my vision, the more I'm able to say, listen, you have great talent and you're good to me. But what I need right now is not what you're offering or what are these gifts, And sometimes I remember a younger me would have been heartbroken about it. It'd been like, man, or like you said, I would have held on a little bit longer. But now it's like I'm thinking more in the terms of I don't want to waste your time, and I definitely don't want to waste my time.
Right.
And it's costing me money, and it's costing you money too, because you're spinning your wheels here. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many musicians I come across that just want to collect a paycheck. And I'm not about you collecting a paycheck. I will pay you really well. However, if you don't want to be like my guys, Dave has been with me from 2009, like from the very beginning.
Right.
and a few others. But Dave is my main he's my Drew Brees, you know? And the one thing about Dave is that Dave is here because he wants to be here. Dave can go anywhere he wants. Dave can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
You know? And you have to have people in your life like that. Because even like this ring on my hand, you know, like my wife, this is just a representation of us making a commitment to one another. But she's free to do what she wants. I'm free to do what I want. That's part of trust. Trust is freedom. And when you trust a musician to be there on time, to show up with the right attitude, to represent the business, to know his part, to do all these things that he has to do, right? And I'm sure for yourself, you've been there where you know, like a lot of guys, man, how much longer are we going to be? You said 7, but I'm going to be here at 8:15, you know, those kind of things, right? And it's like, nah, dude, come on. We're not 15 years old in a garage, you know? Right. If you want to better your life, I can help you do that. Yeah. But if you don't want to, and that's the other thing for me, I'm trying to educate too. Like, it's not about just showing up and doing a gig. I have monthly meetings with my guys.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like I want everybody on the same page. I talk about investments. Hey, what are you doing for yourself? Are you investing in anything, some real estate? What do you got going on? Because if you continue to be a musician and you don't pay your taxes and you don't have Social Security coming in, what are you going to do when you retire? What are you going to do if your hands don't work anymore or your legs? What do we like? I want to talk about all
That's
of
awesome,
those things.
man.
Yeah. Like, and most guys don't.
Yeah, most guys don't.
I do things in my business that I hear no one around doing. Like, for instance, when our female singer, Jordan, she was pregnant 2 years. Her son is 2 now. And so roughly 2.5 years or so, the 9 months leading into it. As she got closer to her pregnancy, she was on a leave of absence and she got paid the whole time. Who does that? You know?
Not
and
many.
Those are the kind of things.
Unless they're being forced.
Well, and those are the kind of things that I'm investing in these people because they're investing in me. And these people are extremely loyal to me.
Hallelujah.
You know? And now, once again, from a business standpoint, I'm working on better ways to, with my, in a sense, management contracts with the agreements that we have. Just like when I do contracts with clients, you know, those are getting better as well. When I remember in 2009, you know, it's like, hey, can I take a look at your contract? Can I see what you got? Would you mind if I just copy some of this stuff? Oh, no problem. And I had a few people that were really open like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing these contracts and I don't know anything about it at the time, you know? And so what I would do is I had a wedding and then it was like, here's a wedding for a lawyer. Hey, would you mind taking a look at this with me? Oh, I don't mind at all, you know, and just showing me. And, oh, well, I would change this. I would add this. I would, you know. So I started putting these different clauses in. And now my contract it's not like a 9-page contract. It's just 2 pages, but it has everything I need.
Yeah.
And then if I do something bigger, if we have to travel more, I have all my stage plots and multiple languages. You know, everything is ready to go.
That's great.
So if we go out of the country or whatever, anything that we do, we're covered. Awesome. You know, but it's a process, and you know, it takes a little time to get there. But the business side is what I'm learning it's where I was lacking the most. You know, like when I'm secure with my vision, when I'm secure with myself, period. You know, let's get that. Like, you got to be good with yourself.
Sure.
It's much easier to lead. But if you don't have I feel like this, if my guys come to me with a problem, I have an answer. I say that all the time. What do you have? I got you. I got it covered. Hey, what are we going to do about it? I got it. Don't worry about it. You know? And it's the same thing, wherever job we show up to, if there's an issue, whatever, the chain of things is you just come to me. You do what you do. Let me take care of all that, you know? And it puts everybody at ease and at rest, and it makes things just so much easier. You know?
Streamlines the process.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So what's the goal here for the next 5 years for you?
So my goal right now is, just yesterday, we're working on this new promo, just a promo photo shoot leading into some video stuff that we're doing. So in the next 5 to 10 years, the vision that I have for the band is going to be more corporate. You know, we love the wedding scene. The weddings are great. I've never advertised with like the Knot or other, you know, magazines, and man, we get the amount of calls we get for that. It's crazy, and I love it. However, there's just a much bigger picture that I have and vision for the band.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we all got to eat. At the end of the day, we got to eat. You know, so I'm still like doing the little things I need to do. But right now, I'm targeting Dallas as a big market So I have a lot of clients out there. Just so happens that we were doing weddings, that I wasn't even aware of at the time years ago, for brides and groom that now have moved to Dallas that are wedding planners, corporate event planners,
Very cool.
coordinators, and then they're reaching out to me. This is just within like the last 6 months or so, where I started getting all these emails saying, "Hey, can you travel? Can you do this?" And I'm like, "Of course we can. We do it already, But the network there, and we're talking about when in the city, what I find is like there's a good bracket. If you stay between, let's say, $2,500 to $5,000, if I was to drop my rates to that, oh man, I would be working in, I could work 4 or 5 nights a week if I wanted to, and to some that's great, right? But that's not my vision that I have.
Right.
And what I am doing is I do have other bands that I'm starting to manage to put in place for those, but only bands that I feel, some of them not necessarily the greatest musicians, but I know they can be counted on. They're going to be responsible enough to show up and do the job and be respectful of the client.
Yeah.
And that goes so much further. And so what I do is I come in with these guys and I kind of listen to what's going on. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We need to change this wardrobe. It's not working. We need to change these arrangements. They're not working for you. Your range is not here. So let's focus on these songs. Let's not do this. So I'm focusing on the strength and showing them that. And man, all of a sudden it's like they hear things that they haven't heard before, So, but with the band, when you go from, let's say the 35 or the 25 to 5 range, but then now you want to step into like, let's say $6 to $10 grand, right? Mm-hmm. What I'm noticing here in the city is that there's a big fight when I get into, when you get 9 to 16 grand, I'm fighting a lot. But yet there are bands that come out of the state that do 3-4 times that amount of money.
Yeah.
And I see these contracts and I work with some of these DMCs in the city and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. What's going on? And I have relationships with these people that are booking this. I will play the same gig and the following year you book X whoever in Atlanta and come here to where we live and book the same gig for 30 grand. And I'm like, I have a problem with that. What's going on? This product is so much better. Like, and now, as you know, it's in sales, right? And what we do, I'm not going to say that this product is horrible. No. This is the best product in the world. You want to have this product. Now, the thing is, I stand by it though. Like, I'm not just like, this is okay. No. Man, everything, when you call me, when you email me, when you email our team from our website and how it filters down to get to me, everything is handled from the moment you call us with care. And then when I get on the phone with you, you have all of my attention. And then once we sign that contract, everything you need is handled directly through me at that point. So if any changes need to happen, I'm there. I'm with you. I'm on your side. Right. But it takes a lot of time. So if you think about it like that, I can't be doing 265 shows and whatever.
Can't.
I want to bring that down because I want to give you all of that attention.
Premium.
Exactly. And so what I'm noticing in the city is when I transferred to just doing a few shows out of state, my price tripled without even trying. And then not only did it triple, but the care and the love that went into the hospitality for the band was like, sir, we have this for you, sir. You need rooms? We got this for you. Yep. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm fighting right here. In my hometown, I'm fighting, And so the clients that we do have here in the city, they love us. I love the relationship I have with them. We're blessed to have the community we have. Mm-hmm. But there are some that, I had to realize that I was sitting at too small of a table. I needed to sit at a much bigger table. And that's no offense to anybody. I think we forget, like we want so much. Like we have kids, right? And we want to see them. When do you tell your kid, hey, stop trying to walk?
Right.
Stop, you're crawling too much. Like when do you do that? But as adults, what happens is, wait, you're leaving the table? Where are you going? Well, I'm going to go sit at that table.
Yeah.
Why are you going over there? Well, it's a much bigger table. Well, why? But why you going to leave me here? Then they get mad at you. Yeah, and I'm like, well, maybe if you're getting mad at me, maybe your intentions for me are not the best. And that's the thing I can tell you. Like, if Dave or if anybody were to leave right now in the business, I'm okay with it. You know why? Because I actually want what's best for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes what's best for me might not be what's best for you.
Yeah.
And so in growing this product, I have to have people that understand, like, we're growing a company, we're growing a business. but understand the vision of that, you know. And I've been watching your content, man. And I love you. You posted something the other day about haters. Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's like I responded to your comment, and then I think you responded back, and it was like, man, you're so spot on, you know. And really, if you're not doing something right, if you don't have the haters, chances are you're not doing something right, you know.
It's true.
And but I love that, and you put some great stuff out. Actually, there was something I took from you just the other day too, and this was actually a while back, but you posted it in a way that made just a little bit more sense. So my guy Ka, he's Kha Ka, Tran. He's my social media guy. He would have been here today, but he had some stuff going on, so it didn't work out. But he's now taking over social media for me. I'm building that team on the back end, which is clearing up my life so much more. I've been doing all this for the longest time by myself, and it's too much. It's way too much.
It's a lot.
But you were talking about content. You were talking about getting together, shooting scenes, multiple scenes, getting that content ready. So right now we're probably about 30, maybe 40 videos in.
Nice.
And it's basically stuff like this, me giving tips, me strategizing, because I want to share information. I want people to understand, like, if you really want to do this, this is what it takes.
Yeah.
And you have to be clear. You don't have to be the 20-year-old that doesn't have the kids in the family. You can be older and have kids and family, but you have to prioritize what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to, like, okay, if this is really what you want, are you driven to do what it takes to do? And when I say that, I don't mean like, you know, cut somebody's hand off. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, are you willing to like get up in the morning and say, babe, look, I love you. I might not see you till 12 o'clock tonight, but I'm gonna call you and FaceTime you and keep in touch, like let you know what I'm doing, right? I can't tell you how many times you were talking about cold calls. I had to share this with you. I was thinking about when you were talking about cold calls. I did this a couple of years ago. I started thinking, you know, if you think about it, there are football teams, you know, here we focus on the Saints, right? But there's other teams in the city. I mean, in other states. Yeah. And then same thing with corporately, and same thing with casinos and whatever. So I seen a casino in I forget what state it was in, because this is maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Anyway, I called and I said, "Can I speak to the entertainment director?" Yes. So they connect me right away. I'm, hello, such and such. You know, this is Lupe with the band Karma. I want to tell you that I'm excited about next week. You know, can't wait to see you. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you know, have us down on the books. You know, I'm looking at the contracts here. You know, I have us, you know. And he's like, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, look, since I have you on the phone.
That's awesome.
Dude,
That's awesome.
Let me tell you, man, I booked gigs like that.
Awesome.
Oh, man. And people don't understand, it is like you putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
I can tell you that sometimes they haven't gone that great.
Oh, yeah.
But there was two
That's
that I can
memorable,
remember
though.
Where, man, I booked some beautiful jobs because of that. And I formed some great relationships because of that.
Hey, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. Some of my most precious relationships that I have to date were from cold calls.
Yeah.
From a cold call. Like either I reached out or I knocked on a door. Found producers for my projects, knocking on doors, selling my movie Bourbon Whiz, door to door with a DVD.
Yeah. And see, and that's where now, having built this, and it's somewhat of a really nice oiled machine, but to take it to that next level, I really have to. My team, performance-wise, visually, you know, musician, on stage, whatever, that's ready to go. Where I'm lacking is and I say this like, because people need to understand, like, we don't always have it together. As a leader, you don't always have everything in place. When I booked my first gig for Karma, I didn't even have the whole band together. 3 months out, I booked this wedding, and I didn't do what everybody told me to do. Everyone's like, hey man, well, you're just starting off, charge $1,500. I'm not asking $1,500. I'm asking $7,000. $7,000. Who do you think you are? Well, if I ask for $1,500, then they're going to think that I'm a $1,500 band.
Right.
So now the first wedding I booked, I didn't book for $7,000. I booked for $4,500. But still, I was shooting, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm constantly doing that. I had a client the other day, we're talking about something in Dallas, as a matter of fact. And they send me all the specs of the room and everything. So I have a guy that does digital imaging for me.
Yeah.
So we can actually, once we get the specs of the stage in the room, I kind of design everything for them. When I sent them the bill, it was $56,000. The client calls me back and she says, was there like something missing in the numbers? And I'm like, no, not at all. And she said, well, why so much? And I said, well, what do you want for your event? I said, do you just want this to be like everything else? Do you want this to, you're telling me, you're calling me and saying you want the best of the best. And you're also saying we don't have a budget. I'm asking you, what's your range? What you want to do? What do we have to work with? When you give me something like that, I don't know how to not hold back.
Right, you need
I'm going to give you everything, right? Yeah. So I'm bringing an LED wall. I'm giving you this big 14-piece band. I'm giving you everything that we have. I'm going to give you a 2.5-hour nonstop show. That's it. We're not taking a break. I'm not going to do 3 or 4 hours. I'm hitting you with this. I got a DJ that's going to play right before and a DJ that's going to cut the end of the night, just 30 minutes. Boom, we're out. That's it. So she's like, well, can we do 42? And I'm like, what do you want me to cut out? We start to go back up to the 56. And that's what you got to do. You can't sit there and go, well, yeah, I'll do it for 42. No. Right. Well, then you're no different than the other person down the road, And that's one thing I would say to anybody out there trying to do what we do is stand firm, stop paying attention to everybody. Stop paying attention to what's happening on social media. Learn and grow. Like, it's my job and my business to see what Armando is doing, to see what everybody else is doing. But not just Armando. What about the guy that's running a contractor business that's a multimillionaire? What about him? See, I don't have a lot of musician acquaintances or business people that are that successful, but I do have a lot of guys in business that run car dealerships, contracting businesses, electric companies, multimillionaires. And business is business when it comes down to it.
True.
And I see their sales and I see their teams. And that's the one thing I go like, man, I'm working way too hard. I need a team. And when you were talking about the cold call, you asked the guy on a podcast one time, you were like, so how many cold calls do you make a week? I'm thinking to myself, man, by myself, I make about probably 30 to 40 cold calls. But that's me. If I had a team doing that, man, and that's where I'm building those things up, So on one hand, it's great because of I feel really good about what's been accomplished. However, I want to take it to a completely different level, So building that whole thing. And when you first started off and saying the things that you said about, our company, I can't thank you enough for that. To have someone like yourself acknowledge that, it's an honor to hear you say that, because nobody understands the blood, sweat, and tears and the pains and the cries and the not wanting to be here and wanting to potentially end my life. Like literally, like the things that I went through some horrible things. I was in a marriage where I was married to someone who was in the band and was on stage doing horrible things behind the scenes with other men. And let me tell you want to talk about being humiliated and being like feeling less than, and then you go to jobs and you wonder why people look at you a certain way, but then you got to still hold your head high and you still do business with people that are with your wife. Like it was something, dude. Damn. Yeah. And my band stood by me. Like they were there walking with me through the whole thing. And the one thing that I can tell you is that I realized, like, wait a minute. This was not me. I didn't do this. This is not my fault. I'm gonna get up tomorrow. I'm gonna put my pants on. I'm gonna do exactly what I was doing before, but I'm gonna do it even bigger and better. And because I was at one point, I was starting to believe that I couldn't do anything without this person. I was nothing. And I was going, wait a minute. I was the one that stayed up late at night learning how to build a website. I was the one that sat down and tried to figure out a contract. I was the one that made calls and got, people hung up on me. I was the one that went and sat down in meetings and I was in jeans and they were in suits. I was the one sitting at a table with 20 lawyers, not knowing half of what they knew, having to explain myself. Mm-hmm. Nobody did that for me. And nobody did that for Karma. I was the only one in that chair. And I was like, who are you listening to? You did that, dude. Yeah. Like, get up, man. You got this, But the things that you kind of tell yourself when you're going through those moments, like, and once again, I know my heart was in the right place and I was trying to save my family at the time. But from that, man, I look back and I'm so thankful. I really am. Like, I'm grateful because, man, it made me so much stronger. It made me so much wiser. I have a deeper capacity to love my wife and my family, and a deeper capacity to do better business. Because now when I sit at a table with someone, doing business like this, man, when they start trying to cut those numbers down, I'm like, I'll let them talk. I'll let them get to the end, and they feel good, and they're pitching it, and they're selling it, and they want me to do it for nothing. And I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, but I don't want to waste your time. This is not going to work for us.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What didn't work?
Yeah.
If I have to explain it to you, then, and then that's it. Like sometimes you just leave that little bit of silence, and then you get up and you leave, and you get a call down the road. Hey, by the way, we want to do it. We want to move forward, and that's it. You have to just be confident. You have to be, but I think sometimes going through the hardships, we don't want to talk about it, but the hardships really prepare you.
Make you who you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With that being said, man, I could talk, dude, amazing interview.
Thank you, man.
Tell
Thank
them
you
where
so
they
much.
can find you right here.
Yeah, man. So if you go to our website, neworleanskarma.com, all of our information is on there. So you can reach out to me personally and directly. Our team also, if you go to the website, there's a bunch of information there. Our team can send you anything that you need. And then, of course, we have all our links to social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. So check us out. We'd love to see you.
Seriously, if you guys need a band that just rocks and kills it every time, Karma for sure.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you.
And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by LeDuc Entertainment. For all of your social media marketing needs, podcasting, we got you. And you can watch Spaghetti on the Wall anywhere where you can catch a podcast. Look it up. You're probably listening to it right now. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you guys next week.